can always edit it.
Yeah. All right. So what's up to the league? I guess League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is what it is for now because we haven't really officially decided on a name. Here with James, though, owner of what's your team name? I don't even know anymore.
More shots.
More shots. Okay. I'm going to try to do videos and stuff like this periodically just to keep the league interesting. We'll do power rankings, draft recap as more of the years go on and things like that. So he's going to be my first guest for this video. And we're going to just go over mostly power rankings, but then talk about how the draft was, I guess, as well. I don't know if you can see my screen or not, but if you can, it's all completely subjective. I assigned values to players and kind of just got the average each position and whatnot. Got a total average, and then I only factored in key player average and adjusted the average so that defensive and special teams and kickers don't overplay somebody's hand and make the difference. Sometimes they can, but and then the adjusted average is either plus a couple, minus a couple, depending on, your kicker and defenses, drafting multiple quarterbacks, multiple tight ends, stuff like that. That really hurts like depth and bench spots. So we'll start at number 10. Let me pull the
Oh,
team
and by
up.
the way, I just did it because I decided which team I'd rather have their players than my players.
Oh, fair enough.
Not nearly as scientific. Still effective.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing a lot of fucking exercise planning and stuff, so this is just where my brain's been at lately.
No judgment. I'm impressed. You're the boss, Kamish. I appreciate it.
So yeah, number 10, I have more shots of Jay Daniels,
Woo!
ranked last. Not necessarily a bad team, but he is weak at quarterback and running back this year, and kind of the tight end position too. But looking at the team, he has a lot of young players. Uh, Even his studs like Amon Ra are still super young. Marvin Harrison Jr., we're about to find out how he does, right? So Blake Corum, and then some of these guys I never heard of, I'm assuming are rookies. Charbonnet. So he has a lot of future potential that as their veterans leave, they can step into the starting role. But he's definitely, I don't think, winning this year. Definitely not winning this year.
So this is the joy of being my team. I actually kind of agree. I'm towards the bottom. My team is entirely based on future projections. I have a couple of guys that have a chance to shine this year. Amon Ra, I think, is the safest floor in basically any draft, redraft, or dynasty. I think he's easily going to get you 15 to 20 points per game on average, no doubt. As Nathan was saying, when I went in the draft, basically my whole thing was about getting players who were like under 29 that are in good situations. Like I had no desire to go too crazy on this year. Picking from 6, I didn't expect myself to get any of the top running backs, which is kind of what I was basing it. I was hoping I was going to get Brees or Bijan, but Jaden at quarterback, he wasn't ideal, but I do think he has potential to be huge even this year. I think his rushing upside is going to give him a good chance. Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, they're both whatever. I'm not overly excited about them, but they'll do for this year. But like Nathan said, I went crazy on depth on my running back. Blake Corum, I think, is going to be huge for the Rams down the road. Ray Davis, I think he actually takes over for Buffalo at some point. Yeah, I got a lot of upside guys. I love my wide receivers. So even this year, I love my wide receivers. I think Amon Ra, Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore, and T. Higgins are sick. Although T. Higgins, punk ass, blew out his hamstring already. But I really like my team long term. But yeah, short term, I totally agree. I'm towards the bottom. I put myself at 9 or 10 as well.
Trying to see, yeah. I mean, Jaden Daniels could pop up this year, so could Marvin Harrison. So you never know. Like your starters could potentially
entirely boom and bust. Like we were
exactly.
We were talking about it prior to the we started this thing today, and I was telling Nathan, my entire team is. He was talking about how his receivers are boom bust. My entire team is boom bust.
All right, so moving on to the next one. At number 9, I have Goff Balls. Let me see his team. So he has a really good quarterback position. Pretty weak at running back. arguably on the edge at wide receiver, and same with tight end. He has a solid defensive, some teams and a kicker, but as we all know, like that might win you a game, but it ain't gonna win you a championship. But again, I'm looking here. Anthony Richardson, super young. He just needs to learn to avoid getting hit, so he's not getting hurt. So long term, that could be a good spot. White, I don't know. We'll see how he does in Tampa Bay. James Conner, I feel like he was hyped for a little bit, but he's so up and down that it's hard to count on him. CeeDee Lamb and Drake London, though, I like this pairing right here. Both two top 15, top 20 wide receivers that are young, that are going to be there for, quite a while. So that's a good pairing. But then here we go, like Neighbors. Worthy balled the fuck out the other day. I joked with James and I said, is he a Tyreek Hill 2.0 for Kansas City? He said definitely not, but I mean, you never know. Okay. Somebody.
In fairness, let me just clarify that. I'm not saying that he's not going to be good, but like I do think Tyreek Hill is like on a certain different level than other players. Like I think Worthy is amazing. I think he's a great piece. I think he's more than like Mecole Hardman, like one of those things that was supposed to be the next Tyreek Hill, but he's definitely not Tyreek Hill. Tyreek is special, but I think Worthy has a great future. But I'll get into it when I talk about my ranking for this one. But yeah, continue, Nathan. Sorry.
Other guys I like are Jaden Reed, who also balled out today. Leggett might be good. So he has a lot. Purcell he has. So there's a lot of potential future talent on this team. And again, a lot of boomer bust opportunity for him this year. And so his weakness is the running back position. He's stacked on wide receiver though. So take for that what you will. He might win a surprising amount of games and sneak into the playoffs, but that's going to be entirely dependent on those rookie young wide receivers, because I just don't think the running back talent is there.
So for me, I have Golf Balls actually ranked a little bit higher. I have him like probably around that 7 or 6 or 7, 8 range, fringe playoff contender. AR-15 is like such unknown. For the 4 games he actually played last year, the dude was averaging like 30 something points. Like he's absolutely nuts. So if he can keep going with that, I think AR actually becomes a very viable, like maybe a league winning type of quarterback. I agree with the running backs. I'm not overly excited about them, particularly long term. I hate them long term. Although I do like the Trey Benson on the bench. I think that's a nice pick. I like Chase Brown. I think he has potential to be the main guy in Cincinnati pretty early on. But I will say for this season, for like if it was like a redraft league, I'm not mad at a James Conner, Rachaad White. I'm actually pretty high on the Cardinals this year. Love his wide receivers: CD, Drake, Malik, Xavier, Leggett. I'm a big fan of his wide receivers, long term and short term. I do worry about CD this season with a little bit of injury possibility because he didn't do anything in preseason. Trey McBride, I think Trey McBride is easily going to be a top 4 tight end for the next, 5-6 seasons. I think that's a great pick. I think long term, this team has a little bit of questions. I mean, he has some young players on there, but they're not like the top end rookies. And I agree with you. I would definitely be kind of going out looking for running backs. But I think for this year, I actually have him ranked a little higher. I actually have him like in the playoffs. Well, actually, are we a 4-team playoff or are we 6-team playoff?
It's set up for 6.
Okay, so it's 6. I have him in the playoffs this year.
I mean, yeah, very well could be, especially with the 2 flex plays, because he's got the 2 flex spots.
I know you're not a big Malik believer because of Daniel Jones, but I am a big Malik believer. I think he's gonna just get. He is their offense now, so I think he's just gonna get all the touches. So if he stays healthy, I think Malik actually ends up top 15 wide receiver. And then CD, he's always going to be top 5. Although I am a little concerned about CD if Dak leaves, like long term.
Yeah.
Viability. If Dak leaves, CD kind of drops off a little bit for me.
The only thing that worries me about Neighbors is, as a wide receiver being the only guy, you're just going to get double teamed if you start going off. So see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely. I just think talent. I've always been taught, at least with fantasy, talent plus opportunity equals a viable fantasy player.
True.
He is immensely talented. I think he might actually be the most talented, even between Harrison and Rome Odunze. I think he might be the most talented. And you know damn well he's going to get a good opportunity because that team has fucking nothing else. We're doing this after the Eagles game. Dude, they must be missing Saquon Barkley already, and that was only one game. So
yeah, no kidding. When you actually have an O-line. So
yeah, he has him at 8. I have him at 6.
All right, at number 8.
Excuse me. Yeah, we're at 8 now.
At number 8, I have Donkey King. Conveniently enough, also right here. Oh, side note, real quick. Wide receiver ranking, if you guys can see my thing, I had it low as at 81, but it could arguably be higher. It's hard for me to rate rookies high because they're unproven, no matter what the hype is. So that's why it might look a little low there. So okay, Donkey King. I have him. I think it's his bench that killed him. Like he has 2 defenses, 2 kickers, 3 tight ends. That's what ranked him so low with me. But CJ Stroud, very good quarterback. Bijan, obviously. James Cook, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Laporta, Aaron Jones. So his flex spots drop off too. Aaron Jones and Rashee Rice is where he takes another hit. Even though, Rice did have 17 points the other day. But I just don't like Kansas City's offense is just so hit or miss because you don't know who's going to go off that day. So that plays a factor. Good kicker, good backup quarterback. But then he has older guys, Eckler in a new offense who fell off last year. We don't know if he's the same guy or not. He's what, 32? 33?
I don't know. He's old and he's in a timeshare with a guy who's much better than him at this point in their careers, I think.
3 years ago, I would have liked Lockett. Judy is a hit or miss with Bo Nix at the helm. And
he's in Cleveland now, so it's Deshaun, which is even
you're right. yeah, exactly. And then Williams is solid, but again, Detroit offense, there's so many players, you don't know who's going to pop off. And then it goes tight end, kicker, defense. So I feel like a lot of value was missed here. So if his starters stay healthy, he probably has a chance. But again, you got Devontae Adams, who's also getting old. Yeah, he's talented, but isn't it Minshew starting? It's probably an upgrade from Carr.
Currently, it's Minshew, yeah.
His value drops off with the quarterback. So, that's where I have him. Again, another guy who could maybe sneak into the playoffs, ?
Yeah. I have Donkey King around the similar spot, 8 or 9. I could go either way with it. Again, I like CJ, but there is a part of me that is a bit skeptical about his long-term viability in the sense that anytime you don't have a rushing quarterback, I think you are at a disadvantage in fantasy football. It just is what it is. If CJ throws for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, he's still not going to beat out people like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts because of their rushing upside. It just is what it is. But he's a stud, and he's on a great team. I love CJ. Bijan, that's my boy. That's who I was hoping for the most in the draft. I was hoping he's going to fall. It did not make it to me, so I love that. James Cook, I'm whatever about him. I like the offenses he's in, but I actually do think Ray Davis, his backup, is going to actually eat into his goal line carries. Devontae is old, and I love him. Raiders, go Raiders. But Devontae has value if he goes to the Packers, if he goes to the Jets, which there's rumors around that he's going to get traded to the Jets by midseason. If he ends up on the Jets with Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, I see viability with that. Love Devontae. Sam Laporta, he's the best tight end in the NFL. I'm actually big on Rashee Rice. Long term, who knows if he's going to be able to stick in the NFL, but he's a stud this year. So, and like Nathan, I honestly, half these drafts, I didn't understand the backup running backs, the backup kickers and the backup defenses. Maybe it's because I'm new to Dynasty, but I would just still go on the waiver wire and pick up a defense to fill in for a week, or pick up a kicker to fill in for a week. Like, that just seems like, I don't know, to have backups seems like it's a waste of a roster spot for you can have like valuable rookies to stash. Um, Overall, though, I like his team. Like you said, there's a lot of boomer bust to it. I'm looking at it. Devontae ended up with 15 points tonight, and that's because he had 7 catches for 84 yards. I think that's a safe floor for Devontae through the seasons. Devontae Smith. Oh God, both of his receivers are Devontae's. Yeah, I think this team has boom bust potential, but I also would have him ranked a little bit lower down the ranking. Like I said, 8 or 9 seems pretty legit. Long term, I like the prospects a little bit more, but short term, I don't know how I'm feeling about it this year. Really kind of depends how some of these offenses pan out.
Agreed.
And drop one of your tight ends, man. I'm sorry. You should not have 3 tight ends. That's like, even 2 tight ends is too many for me, but well, actually, I have 2 tight ends because I have 1 rookie tight end. So 2 tight ends is fine, but 3 tight ends, you should drop one. Personal opinion.
Speaking of defenses, I'm really, really hoping the league votes for individual defensive players next year. It'll give us a couple more bench places, and it gives a little bit more of a twist to the league, in my opinion. They're not going to put up 20 points. They might put up 8 to 10, but
I wouldn't mind it. But you and I were both people that spent like round picks on things. Like I have a hard time imagining someone like Austin who spent like an 8th round pick or whatever it was, a higher draft pick on a defense, voting for that. But if they do, I'm all about it. I'm a big fan of IDPs. I just didn't want to have to worry about it this year. I think next year would be a good time if we are going to do it. But
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
All right, at 7, I have Puka D's Halls, which is my team. I took the same kind of philosophy as James. I wanted to go young and try to set up for future
young. You did, my man.
Success. So I have a lot of rookies, a lot of sophomore players that are going to be extremely boom or bust all throughout. The only reason I put myself at 7 is because I went with depth that matters, aka no extra kickers, no extra defenses. I think I have 2 tight ends, but take a look here. All right, Caleb Williams is my starter. We don't know how the hell he's gonna go. He could be a top 10. He could be a fucking top 30. Fucking, I don't know. My backup is potentially going to have ended his season tonight.
I wouldn't say that. It looked like a bad sprain. I don't think he's out for the whole thing. I don't think he broke anything, but it definitely looked like Jordan Love's ankle was going the wrong direction. So that's never good.
Regardless, that means I either have to find a backup or bank on Caleb Williams for however many weeks, which is Breece Hall is probably a top 5 running back, and he's young, so that helps. Achane is also really young, but he still has Mostert there. Long term, super looking good. Same with Puka. Same with Nico. But the only thing is with Nico, who's going to pop off? Is it going to be Brandon Cooks? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Tank Dell? Brock Bowers is my starting tight end. With Meyer there, Mike Myers or Mike Meyer. I don't know how many snaps Bowers is going to get, but he was the top tight end in the rookie class. So hopefully that plays out well. Then I got old ass Keenan Allen to pair up and stack with Caleb Williams, but he's still, a pretty strong receiver. He just has to stay healthy. Curtis Samuel, somebody's got to be the wide receiver 1 in Buffalo now, so that's why I picked him. I went with the young kicker for the Rams, not just because he's, on the Rams, but he was actually the best kicking kicker in this draft class, so allegedly.
Nah.
That's what they say. I don't know.
Bro, when you drafted him, I'm not even lying. When you drafted him, I was literally like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I literally have never heard of him in my entire life.
He was literally
a Rams fan, and that's good offense. So I support any kicker in a good offense, but never heard of this fucking guy ever.
Go just look at his stats from college. They said he was the best one. I think he was at Bama or something like that. So I actually drafted every fucking Miami running back. I got Achane, I got Mostert, and I got the rookie Wright. So I am set no matter what happens in Miami over the next few years at the running back spot. I think I've got that spot locked with the handcuff. Same with White in Las Vegas, Warren in Pittsburgh. Him and Najee have already been a 1-2 punch that can be dealt with. So Brian Thomas, I've heard a lot of good things out of the camp. Good to step into a wide receiver 1 role. Mike Williams is hit or miss. Shaheed has his moments, and then Musgrave was supposed to be baby Gronk, but he's also up and down. So there's a lot of boomer bust here, but I think the depth is what got me to 7 instead of those bottom 3.
Yeah, like I said, I have you and Donkey King kind of interchangeable at that 8-9 spot on my rankings as well. Long term, I like your prospects of your team. I honestly think Caleb's going to be probably a top 10 this year. His offense is just way too stacked for him to suck. Brees, Brees is a stud. If he can stay healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Achane, I have mixed feelings about him. I think he's a stud. I also think that he is way too tiny to be a long-term starter forever in the NFL. I think he's always going to find himself having to share the backfield with somebody. But again, you got the entire Miami backfield, so that's not something you have to worry about. Puka's awesome. Nico, I like Nico long-term. I don't know how he's going to do with Stephon on the team this year, but we'll see what it is. Looking at your bench, I'm a Raiders fan, and I'd be a little bit weary about Zamir White. I don't think he's that good, if I'm being totally honest with you. Brian Thomas, I love him. I think he'll be one of your starters by the end of this year. Not going to lie. Warren, I like him. Yeah, like I said, you kind of nailed it. Your team is very boom bust. That's why I kind of have you at that 8-9 spot. Long term, I have you ranked a bit higher in the league, but this year, yeah, you're probably going to be battling out with me in the poop playoffs.
All right, at 6, and he's probably going to hate me. Austin. I got Austin at 6. Let me look at it, see.
Change your name, bro. Team Austin Hornbeck's shitty.
Okay, so I'm looking here. His team's not terrible, but I have his fucking wide receiver average at a 66.8. Josh Allen, good. Gibbs, good. Josh Jacobs, good. The only thing with Jacobs is he's old, and we don't know where he's going to end up in a few years. Tyreek Hill, obviously 99, but then it starts going downhill from there. Zay Flowers, not terrible, but then we're looking Addison. I like him. I have him in another league, but still, when you have Justin Jefferson on your team, it's going to hurt you a little bit. When you have Darnold throwing you the ball, he might be throwing the ball more to the other team than to you. Let's see, running back. Brown from Kansas City, he might just be too deep on the depth chart right now. Dotson, he can go off for a game and then miss or be down for 6 games. And that's it. He only has 5 wide receivers, maybe 6, if that. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he has 5 wide receivers. So that's why I have him ranked pretty low. But he does have Reek. Reek's getting up there in age, though. His running backs look good, but I'm looking at his bench. Dalvin Cook, Williams with Denver. Algier is old. He's a good dual threat, but again, also old. So I like Likely at tight end. He didn't start him this week, which sucks.
Yeah, picked the wrong Ray Favens tight end for sure.
And then he also has 3 tight ends. He has Likely.
He has 4 tight ends if you look at his injuries.
Oh, yeah, see? And then he has Dallas and San Francisco defenses. I will say, though, I like the Aubrey at the kicker spot. He's young, and he could be the next, I don't know if I want to say that. I was going to say Tucker, but speaking of, Tucker might need to retire now.
What, because he missed one 50-yard kick?
Well, look at last year, too. He just wasn't the same.
I think he's fine. And Aubrey's not young, actually. He started playing football pretty late. But I also feel like kickers can play into their 30s, well into their 30s. So,
yeah. So, yeah.
So Nathan just hates Austin, so that's why he's doing this. I actually have Austin ranked much higher than this. I have him actually closer to 4, to be honest. I think his starting offense this year is championship caliber. He has the best fantasy quarterback. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. But Josh Allen is the best fantasy quarterback and has been for 3 or 4 years now. He is a stud. He's young. He's great. Jahmyr Gibbs, I have high hopes for Jahmyr Gibbs. I have him in a couple of my redraft leagues. I think he's a stud. I think he takes over full-time duty over David Montgomery. Jacobs, whatever. I can live or die, but Reek this year, I agree with you. Long-term Reek is gonna suck, but this year he is a stud. I mean, he has probably a top 2 quarterback, a top 2 wide receiver, and a top 7 running back. Tight end weak. Like I said, 4 tight ends is way too many tight ends. And Mark Andrews, well, I like that pick. Likely seems to have taken over that position, but he has Likely, so I guess that's not that bad. Again, I'm weirded out by the double kicker, double defense thing. That's just my personal opinion. I don't like having that, but I hope nobody hates me for that. For me personally, I think 2 tight ends and 2 kickers and 2 defenses is just a waste of 2 roster spots. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, long term he's all right, but short term, I think this year he's going to absolutely kick some ass. I don't know if he'll be as dominant as he was in our sleeper league last year, but he's going to kick some ass this year. Truly, I believe that. Like I said, I have him up closer to 4.
I do like his starting lineup. I do put a lot of stock in the bench though.
Yeah, I agree. I know you had a whole mathematic formula and stuff like that, which I appreciate, but
because he's 2 injuries away from being last.
True. True. I agree with that.
So Austin, I don't hate you. That's just my thought process.
He hates you. Don't worry about it.
Number 5, I have NoHo Joe. Let me see. NoHo Joe. His weakest position for me, I'm not really going to count tight end, is the running back spot. But he's got Justin. All right. So Justin Herbert is talked about as a top quarterback. But as every year goes by, I'm starting to second guess it. But I'll still count it as a good quarterback. Mixon, I love Mixon. But man, Houston offense again. You never know. Is he going to lose all those, a lot of receptions from all those receivers? Singletary, I'm not high on Singletary, especially with New York and that god-awful O-line. He has Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown, though. Both. Well, Brown's 20.
For his wide receivers are stacked.
They
this is a redraft. His wide receivers would be nuts.
Definitely. What do I have? I haven't.
Look at his flex. Look at his flex wide receivers. That shit's nuts.
I know. Ayuk, Diggs, Jefferson.
Brown. He literally has the wide receiver 1 of 4 different high-scoring offenses. It's pretty. I'm impressed by his wide receiver core. I'm not gonna lie.
He could win just off that position.
Yeah.
He's gonna make up points with Singletary. He's gonna make up points with Kincaid, who's not a terrible tight end, but decent kicker, defense. But then his bench leaves some work to be desired. Beak, he's lost his dominance. He'll get some goal line touches, so that'll help. Pollard, I mean that's back-to-back previous. Well, I guess Zeke's back on the Cowboys, but back-to-back prior Cowboys that they're like, we're done with you. Moss, I mean, somebody's got to be RB1 in Cincinnati, so that's not bad. Odunze could be a worthy starter, but he's so fucking stacked at wide receiver. Where is he going to put him?
Well, that's what, honestly, so let me give you a little bit of my thing about it. I absolutely love what he did at wide receiver. So like I said, this season, he might have the best wide receiver core in our entire league with JJ, AJ, Ayuk, and Stephon. But then if you look at his bench wide receivers, I mean, he has potential to have one of the best wide receiver cores for years to come.
Odunze,
I think Odunze, I like Mitchell a lot for Indy. I like Ladd McConkey for the Chargers. I like the stack that he has with those. By the way, I agree with you. Herbert has a bunch of talent. He's sucked a lot of these years, but I got to be honest. Harbaugh is a quarterback whisperer.
True.
I mean, he resurrected Alex Smith's career, and he made Colin Kaepernick, that kneeling down dickwad. He made him a viable quarterback for several years. He made JJ McCarthy look like a good quarterback in college. I think Herbert's going to be just fine. But Ladd McConkey, Luke McCaffrey, I don't think he's that great, but I also think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 on Washington for a few seasons once Scary Terry leaves. So I love his thing. I agree with you though. His running back depth is Jeez.
I don't. Does he even? Oh yeah.
He's gonna be weak at running back. You're talking about one injury away from being like bad. Like if he lose, I mean, I already have Joe Mixon and Devin Singletary both as like RB2s, and those are his starting running backs. But like if they go down and he's having to start Zeke or Tony or Zach Moss, that's gonna hurt him. But
like if
it'll do. But that wide receiver core just blows my mind how good his wide receiver core is.
He's one or two of those guys traded away for a top 10 running back for being a contender for quite a while, depending on what running back it is.
Yeah, I'm blown away by how good he did at drafting wide receivers. His wide receiver core is nuts.
Although the 0 RB strategy has been taking off lately and people were winning with it, so
I love it in a redraft. I don't know how I feel about it in a dynasty. That you have this, theoretically, you're supposed to have this team for years. Now, I will admit though, I mean, like his what? JJ's 25, AJ's 27, Ayuk is 26. Diggs is the only old one, but we went over how many good rookies he has on his bench at wide receiver. Like he's going to be able to start 4 legitimate wide receiver ones for their teams for probably at least 5 years if everything stays well. So well played. I
next year's draft.
Well played, Joe. I really do like your wide receivers a lot.
Where'd you have him at?
I had him up. What number was he on yours?
5.
I had him.
Oh wait, no, my bad. 4. On Jay Taylor, right?
No, Joe.
Oh yeah, 5.
I had him right around the 5. Actually, I think I had him all the way up at 3. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely love his wide receivers, and I'm playing him this week, which makes me sad.
Yep. Yeah, you're projected to lose by like 15 right now, but still early. Well, since
like I said, T. Higgins fucking blowing his hammy when he was going to be the wide receiver 1 this week kind of fucking pissed me off a little bit. Not gonna lie, but
I bet. Well, since I spoiled the surprise for 4, Jay Taylor is who I have at 4 on his team here.
Is Jay Taylor one of the people you added, or one of the people that Austin, like, because I know you two guys were the ones who got most of the people from the league?
Fuck, bro, I don't know. This is why I like ESPN, because it says the team owner's name under it. I'm assuming.
Well, his name is
Austin.
His name is at Jay Taylor 28202. I'm just curious if he's like, is his name John Taylor? Because if it is, I love the fact that he drafted Jonathan Taylor. I love that. If Jay Taylor drafted Jay Taylor, love that.
Yeah, I think that's one of Austin's boys.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so Jay Taylor for QB, I have it in 98, running back 86, wide receiver 80. Tight end's a little weak, but all of that averages out to like an 85 overall for me. Oh, I'm playing him this week, and it's gonna be a close matchup. It looks like. Too bad fucking the Philly defense didn't do shit.
They got Swiss cheese, bro.
I will say though,
quick aside,
16 helped.
Quick aside, I know this video is gonna be long as fuck, but quick aside, Philly's defense fucking pissed me off tonight. I'm glad they won, and Jalen is like pissing me off too. I'm like kind of a Philly. My mom's a Philly fan, so I kind of like Philly, but their defense was like Swiss cheese in the secondary, and they spent like all their draft picks on secondary players. It was pretty embarrassing. But yeah, I've been drinking, so ran over. Sorry.
Mahomes, 99, obviously. Jonathan Taylor should be like a 97, 98. We'll see how he does this year, because last year he was up and down. I love Kyron, but the only thing that worries me about him is that punt return announcement. And is Blake Corum going to end up eventually being RB1?
Corum is what worries me about that one.
Waddell's pretty good, but he can give you.
Bro, I'm sorry. Waddle. That's why he does the fucking penguin thing. Waddle. You know, you say Waddell, but his name is Waddle.
So the reason I say Waddell is because I used to call him Waddle. Actually, Coy, who's in this league, knows him. Keppel is my chief warrant officer, is a Florida fan, and he said it was pronounced Waddell, not Waddle, but he just accepts it because it gives him that extra publicity when he does that in the end zone.
Lies.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Lies. He would not do it. Well, maybe. Honestly, I don't know, but he does the Waddle dance. So everyone
I mean,
calls him Waddle. I don't know.
he's got a PR guy. Of course,
I
he's
always thought
gonna
it was
tell him to
Rihanna, but
fix
apparently it's Rihanna. So who fucking knows? I don't know.
it. He's got a PR guy. He's gonna be like, "Hey, that's your image. Just go with it." But Waddle, Pickens, great fucking stack. They're both young, but they're also both boomer bust, and those are both his starting wide receivers. You can survive that though, especially with his halfbacks. Ferguson's a viable tight end. McLaurin, Scary Terry, could be fucking great if he stays healthy and him and Jaden Daniels connect.
Hope so. Jaden Daniels is my quarterback, so I hope he is good because I need it.
McPherson, solid kicker. The defense for Cincinnati, we'll see. They're up and down. He's got Burrow as his backup, bro. And then he's got
he has Burrow's backup, and I don't mind Cincinnati because he also has the Jets as his other defense, so I'm okay with that. He played them. I think he's playing the matchup this week because honestly, I would not play the Jets against the Niners, but I would sure as shit play the Bengals against the Patriots. Ugh.
Exactly, and his depth, his bench is strong too. Dameon Pierce can go off. Tyjae Spears is probably going to step into fringe RB1 now that Henry's gone, and he's a good pass catching back.
Depends on how much they use Pollard.
Yeah. Romeo Dobbs can put up numbers like Christian Watson or Reed.
That's the problem. There's 3 of them, so
True.
any one of them could put up numbers.
I expect Smith and Jigma to take over Lockett's RB or our wide receiver 2 spot this year. So
great name. Love it. Loving Jigba. Great name.
Cole Kmet, honestly, if I were you, I'd probably roll Kmet as my tight end 1, honestly. Yeah, I'd put him over Ferguson and Schultz because I think he was like a low-key top 10 tight end last year, wasn't he? And he had games where he's put up like 20 points.
Yeah,
and he has a rookie
I have mixed feelings
so
about Kmet because that, as you and I were talking about, that wide receiver room is so stacked. I don't know how many targets he's actually going to be able to command anymore. I'm kind of big on Jake Ferguson. If you look at that Cowboys offense, I know they have Brandon Cooks and shit like that, but like the number 2 wide receiver on that offense is Jake Ferguson. And as long as Dak is there, again, this is kind of the same problem with CD. If Dak leaves, that whole thing's a fucking mess. But I actually kind of like Ferguson. I think he's legit going to be probably a top 5 or 6 tight end this year. Surprisingly enough, I know he doesn't seem like he's not a household name, but I do think he has the talent. Anyways, though, you were talking about Kmet. Sorry, cutting you off.
Oh, no, you're good. That's what this is about to, free talking. So that's pretty much all I had to say about his team. I think his quarterback situation is one reason I have him so high.
Yeah.
He lacks some of the depth that other teams have, but those other players are so in such good positions to still put up points. So that's why I have him so high.
Yeah. I have him. I had Austin up at 4, so I have him actually closer to like 5, I believe, or it was 5 or 6. I forget what it was. I think I swapped him and Austin on my rankings. Again, love Patrick. Joe Burrow as a backup is like stupid and crazy good. I like JT. Like you said, Kyren. I got mixed feelings about Kyren. He was like my savior last year, but he also I don't know how long term he's going to do. The dude can't stay healthy, and Blake Corum is good. I agree. His wide receivers are weak, but I will say this. If Tyreek Hill, and you and I both agree Tyreek Hill's older, second Tyreek Hill leaves, he's the wide receiver 1 in a Mike McDaniels offense with, again, I'm not the biggest Tua fan, but he's a very serviceable quarterback in that offense. The way McDaniels schemes it, I think Waddle has potential to be like a legit wide receiver 1 down the road. Yeah, I have him, like I said, I have him more towards 5 or 6 fringe playoff more than anything else. But that's just because I am not the biggest fan of his flex positions. I don't like Terry or Deontay, but they both have a potential to be good. Yeah. Like I said, if Jaden's good or Bryce Young actually steps up and is any good this year, both of them have viability, especially in our league because it's a PPR. Again, I don't want anyone to kill me, but if you have 3 tight ends, you have too many tight ends. If you have 2 defenses, you have too many defenses. Although his I like a little bit more because you can kind of play
Yeah.
matchup. I do like the Jets if you keep them long term, but I would definitely not play the Jets this week against the Niners. But again, me personally, nobody
So if
killed
you
me, but
were,
me personally, if you have 3 tight ends, that's one too many, and if you have 2 defenses and 2 kickers, one too many of those as well.
I don't know if we have any Niner fans in this league, but I'm pretty sure 80% of people in here can agree that fuck the Niners. I know Coy will agree. I know Austin and you will agree. I'm sure there's other Rams.
I'm whatever about the Niners. I'm from the Bay Area, although Raiders fan, but I'm whatever about the Niners. I don't hate them nearly as much as you guys do.
We do have a Cowboys fan in the league, though.
Oh, gross.
Gonna throw that out there. Anyway, so all right, moving on. All right, so I actually have this guy at number 3. All right, and we all fucking laughed at him because he drafted like 3 quarterbacks, and I don't even remember what else.
Weirdest fucking draft ever. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like Nathan explained to me. Well, actually, Nathan, yeah, you explained the story to the league, but like this weirdest fucking draft I've ever seen in my life.
So we were all making fun of this guy, right? He told me at seminar the other day. Some of you will understand what that is. Some of you won't, but it's a class. That he was in church because he forgot what time the draft was. So he had queued up players, and like he would look at his phone and like glance back and forth, and like it would draft, and he would forget to go clear out the other people he queued. So he had like 3 quarterbacks in a row. So it just auto drafted the next player in queue. But I'm looking at his team. If this was a redraft, he could win this year. He has some movement
yeah.
to make for the future, but those are bench players. So we're looking at starting lineups here, right? He's got Lamar Jackson, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, who's probably the most underrated receiver that I've ever seen. Because has he failed to put up 1,000-yard season yet? I don't think he has.
Not yet. NFL record for most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, actually.
George Kittle, top 5 tight end still. Has problems with the injury, but you know what? Still. Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis, who could arguably be wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in Jacksonville. Harrison Butker.
Might even be wide receiver 1, honestly. I don't know if Brian Thomas is going to take over that role quite that quick.
His defense leaves something to be desired in Denver, but look, his backup, all right, Lamar Jackson, Tua.
Or Trevor, depending on which way he wants to go.
Old ass Kamara can still put up numbers. Antonio Gibson. He's in New England's offense. I don't know, but still a beast. Chuba Hubbard is supposed to be a good young guy. Adam Thielen shows that he can still put up decent games. Cortland Sutton, we'll see what happens. Joshua Palmer. Like this, his bench players can easily be starters, and that's why I have him at 3.
Yeah, not gonna lie. So I, like everyone else in the league, was like shocked by the draft. I had no idea what the fuck this guy was doing. Makes sense now that I know that he was on auto draft and he queued up players, so I appreciate that. But then, like, hindsight's 2020. His draft is not bad for a redraft. It's old. His team is old as fuck. He's gonna be terrible in a couple of years, maybe even next year he might be terrible. But for a redraft, it's not terrible. If we're talking about value in drafting, I still have questions about taking Lamar first overall and having 2 and all that stuff. But is what it is. Like you said, Najee, has his moments. What I like about Najee, at least long term, is he's probably going to end up on another team next year. I think he's on the last year of his deal, so he'll probably end up somewhere else, which will be nice for him. Swift, I think I got high hopes for the Bears. Like you said, Deebo, Evans. Deebo is going to end up on another team somewhere, so I think that's going to be a good thing long term for him as well. But if we're talking this year, just this year, I don't hate his team nearly as much as the draft. The draft was weird as fuck, but
it was.
I don't hate his team that much, honestly. It's going to be bad in a couple of years, though. This dude's going to have to do some serious work on the waiver and trading and all that stuff, drafting. But like, for like 1, maybe 2 seasons, he has a chance to contend for the championship. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but the next 2 years he's going to be in the playoffs. I'll say that.
Ironically enough, he's facing somebody that I have ranked above him. He's projected to lose, but yeah, I mean, considering all things considering, it's a pretty solid team all around. Where'd you have him ranked?
I think I had him at 3 as well, I believe.
Also, I don't think I actually said the team name. I just started talking about the story. Team Lucero.
Lucero. Yeah.
Clarity. Also needs to change the team name. Very not creative. All right. Moving on. When I saw the name of this team, I really just wanted to rank them 10th just out of spite. But we're going to talk about Fuck Sham. Have him at number 2. Fuck you, Coy, you fucking Dallas fan. I hope they all
Best
fucking
name
get
ever.
hurt and end up fucking last place in the NFL. Fucking Cowboys fans.
Shit's
You know
funny,
what, Coy? At least we both hate the Niners and we can agree on that. I miss you. Miss you, dude. Man's living it up as a civilian in fucking Seattle with a dope ass job now. So good for him. Yeah. So I have him number 2. He'll probably be in the championship. Quarterback, I had 91. RB, wide receiver, I had him in the 84 spots. Tight end, 89. Defense strong. Kicker strong. Bench was strong. So his key position average, I had it at 87, and I adjusted it up to an 88. So he's got Kyler Murray, short motherfucker, but you know what? He can still run. He's got Brock Purdy. Look, listen, all right. How the fuck did you draft Brock Purdy, you fucking Niner hater, first of all? Anyways, so, I don't think Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback, but he's in a top 10 quarterback situation. So I gave him his due for that. Got Wilson. Rodgers doesn't, tear his ACL on the first play this year. That could be good. Olave. Michael Thomas is done. All right, so this is Olave's team now. Kyle Pitts, DK Metcalf, Tank Dell, Fairbairn, Indy. Boyd, I like for future. He should be sliding. I know he missed tonight's game. He didn't suit up. I think he should be sliding into number 2 on the depth chart after Dylan's injury. So he could be viable this year. Jerome Ford is going to be RB1 in Cleveland until Chubb is at 100%. So I like that pick. Christian Kirk was supposed to be really, really good. I mean, Jacksonville paid him a lot of money, so he's still a viable option. Calvin Ridley with Tennessee. Well, I don't think they know who their quarterback is, do they?
Will Levis.
Yeah. But Christian Watson, Freiermuth, they just paid him today. Cleveland defense, Indy defense, both top 10. I don't know. He's just got another really solid starting lineup with another solid bench that could easily slide in if something happens and, do good enough. And I don't know the age of everybody, but a lot of these guys are pretty young, so he should be a force for a while too. Oh, I guess I just completely glanced over CMC and Pacheco.
You did, yeah.
So, I mean, CMC is only going to be good for another year or two. Hopefully he doesn't get hit with the Madden curse. But Pacheco's solid. He went win now, but put a nice, healthy balance of young talent in there.
Yeah, I had Team Fuck Sham as number 1. Team Fuck Sham did a great job at
You're doing
basically everywhere. Fuck Sham drafted Kyler Murray at number 1, like as his quarterback. I love Kyler Murray. I think he's gonna be outstanding. Fuck Sham went with Christian McCaffrey. I love that. No, I'm kidding. But no, seriously, CMC, Pacheco, that running back room's nuts. Garrett Wilson, I love him this year and probably next year. I'll be curious to see what the Jets do once Aaron's gone. See how his value still. Although he was still getting 1,000 yards with the worst quarterback play in the NFL. So Olave again. I'm sketchy about his quarterback situation. Raiders fan, but Derek Carr is. Bleh. Pitts, Metcalf, Tank. I like all of them. I think his bench is outstanding too. I legit think that Team Fuck Sham is going to be able to fuck Sham up for several years to come. I mean, truly, it's a great draft. Injury concerns, I will say that Kyler has trouble staying healthy. CMC has trouble staying healthy. but I think he can survive it, honestly. And like I said, I actually had him ranked at number 1 over your number 1. So yeah, well done, Team Fuck Sham owner.
Fuck you, Koi. Hope. No, never mind. I'm not gonna.
Don't bring that juju around here.
So all right, I have Texas Reaper at number 1, which means you have him at number 2. Likely see these two playing in the playoffs. They are very, very close. I think Reaper had the advantage quarterback wise on him. I had Reaper at a 96 and Koi at a 91. However, Reaper doesn't have a backup quarterback. So if Jalen Hurts goes down, that's going to significantly hinder the team because I can't imagine there's a lot of good QBs left on the wire, and that's a pretty important position. You could get away with a weak quarterback, but like when all the quarterbacks have been drafted already, good luck.
I don't know. That one guy who has 3 quarterbacks probably will end up dropping Trevor Lawrence or 2 at some point. So
that would definitely give him a boost.
And in defense, he does have JJ McCarthy. He's just on the IR.
Oh, I can't see IR on this.
Oh, yeah. He has JJ McCarthy and Nick Chubb on IR. So
I'm looking at the matchups rather than just a single team. It doesn't show IR. So
got you.
Then that makes sense. Although he's out for the season. So.
Yeah,
I have Koi with the 84 at RB, Reaper with the 83, Koi with the 84 at wide receiver, Reaper with the 84, tight end 89 for Koi, 92 for Reaper. Defense I had 99 for Koi. Oh no, that's Austin. 90 for Koi, 95 for Reaper, 97 kicker, 97 or 87. But anyways, the averages were close. I had the adjusted average for 88 for Koi and 90 for Reaper. He's got Hurts. He's got Saquon, Derrick Henry. I'm not sure how I feel about that because it looked like it's not Dobbins anymore. Their backup though was out there doing a lot of pass catching and put in more work.
Justice Hill.
Yeah, Justice Hill. However, it is Kansas City's defense. Their defense has improved, so maybe we see more from Henry moving on. Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman, Travis Kelce, Cooper Kupp, Montgomery in the flex, Justin Tucker, Pittsburgh. He has a lot of players in the top 10 position in his starting lineup. I think he did also draft Buffalo's defense in Younghoe Koo. Njoku at tight ends, he's solid there. I will say his bench is a little weak. Well, he has Godwin.
His bench is entirely built for the future. I actually don't mind his bench that much because he's planning ahead with his bench.
Right. For this year, it's weak.
Yeah, for sure.
But the rest of these guys are set up for the future, like you said. Polk could make an impact with New England. So he has a couple guys here that if there's an injury, he'll be okay. But he's also got enough star-studded talent across his starting lineup that one of those okay guys should still be good enough. So it's going to be a pretty interesting potential championship between those two teams.
Yeah, so I have Reaper at number 2. I'm a little bit lower on his quarterback, especially after tonight. I don't know what's up with Jalen. His team stacked and stuff like that, but the dude's making weird decisions. He's throwing way too many interceptions for what he usually does. And to be honest with you, my biggest fear with Jalen Hurts happened tonight, at least for Jalen Hurts owners. Saquon Barkley's taken away half of the goal line carries now. That was the biggest thing that Jalen Hurts had going for him, was that he would get 10 rushing touchdowns a year. So I'm a bit more sketched out about Jalen, but he's going to be always solid. I mean, at least for the next 3 years, Saquon, AJ, Devontae, they're all signed for at least another 3 years. So you can't go wrong with that. Saquon went absolutely apeshit tonight. I like Saquon a lot. Derrick Henry, he'll have better nights down the road. Honestly, the Ravens didn't seem like they knew how to use it properly yet. You know, Derrick Henry needs 20 carries per game, and they only gave him, 10, 15? I don't even know. Let me look. No, he didn't have 13 times. 13 carries. He needs at least 20 before he's even valuable. That's like half of his thing is the late carries. why I had him rank lower than Team Fuck Sham is because I'm a little bit sketched out by his wide receivers this season. So long term, I love Jamar Chase, but like I am a big proponent of you need to be doing preseason stuff like that. Otherwise, you get like hamstring injuries for running backs and wide receivers. I feel like Jamar Chase is going to get injured at some point this year, which is going to hurt him this season. Cooper Kupp, the dude literally cannot stay healthy. I mean, it's almost like impossible for the man to stay healthy. Even his backups, like Chris Godwin, dude barely stays healthy half the time too. So I'm a little sketched out about his depth, but if everyone stays healthy, his team's one of, if not the best in the league. That's why I have him at number 2. Like I said, long term, I really like a lot of the stuff that he did. I like Braylon Allen. I think he actually is going to end up eating into some of the Breece Hall touches. Bucky Irving, I think actually literally will take over as the starting running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the end of the year. So I love that pick. Polk, it's entirely dependent on how good May ends up being. If May is a good quarterback, Polk is going to be a great wide receiver. It's just New England sucks balls right now. But
it would be weird to see what happens without Belichick there too.
Yeah, we'll see. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year for sure. Like I can't see that going any other way. But this season, I really like what Texas Reaper's doing, and long term, he has some good pieces long term as well. But like I said, the only reason why I have him ranked one below Fuck Sham is because of I'm a bit concerned about the health, and Travis Kelce is also old as fuck, so I have a concern about him being used as much, especially with how good Worthy and Rice looked.
True.
I'm a bit concerned that Travis is going to save himself for the playoffs, which doesn't help us at all in fantasy. So,
luckily, he has a viable backup in Njoku.
Yeah.
I will say though, you're talking about Hurts and his bad play. I mean, he still put up 18.42 points with 3 turnovers. That would have been 24.42 had that. So yeah, he's making bad decisions, but if he cleans that up, I mean, what more can you ask for than 24, 25 points?
Again, like I said, I have mixed feelings about Jalen. I will say this: I think that Kellen Moore, as the offensive coordinator, that offense looks much better. I do think that it looks improved as opposed to last year. I just think that Jalen Hurts is going to cede goal line carries to Saquon, which is going to hurt his overall value. I also think that Jalen is turning the ball over way too much. Yes, he had the 2 picks. He probably had another 2 picks that should have been. So that would have been 4 interceptions tonight. And he also had 1 fumble, and he had another fumble that luckily Saquon recovered. So theoretically, he could have had 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles, which, if I'm not mistaken, that would be minus 16 in our league. Is it 2 per each?
Yeah, should be basically.
So minus 12. That would have been minus 12 points. And he's been turning the ball over since last season, 20 touchdown passes and 15 interceptions last year. I'm just a little bit sketched out about his decision making. But if he goes back to anywhere close to his 2022 form, he's going to be top 3 quarterback for at least the next 3 years, as long as he has Devontae and AJ and all that stuff.
I do want to point one last thing out, right? We're talking about this. It's weird that we talk about someone like Jalen Hurts like this, but then we go on and say Josh Allen's the top 3 quarterback in the league because he's also, I'm pretty sure, has the most turnovers since he's entered the league.
Also has the most touchdowns since he's been in the league.
This is also true, but
he's a Brett Favre.
I'm curious to see how he's going to do without a true wide receiver 1 this year.
Again, for me, the thing about Josh Allen that I will never be able to he will always be the goal line back. That's the big difference for Josh Allen versus Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
James Cook and Ray Davis, they're both good running backs. But if you're inside the 5-yard line, the Josh Allen's going to run a power, and that's going to be the play. I don't think that's the same case with Jalen anymore. I think he's handing it off to Saquon. The only time Jalen gets those things is if it's on like the 1-yard line, because then they'll do the tush push.
Exactly. Which I don't even know how effective that's going to be this year without Kelce. But
well, I can tell you this: the tush push this year did not look that good. He had 1 fumble. He had one non-conversion. So thus far, not as good, but they still won the game.
He's human after all. So, all right. Well, we were pretty close. I think the worst ranking we had that was different was where I had Austin, where you had Austin. But other than that, everybody was pretty close.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll conclude it at that. We're at about an hour. I don't know if everybody's going to watch the entire thing, but let us know if you like these videos when I post it.
Are you able to put tags in there? You should put like where each team is. So that way people can at least watch their segment of the video. If you're, I don't know if it's like YouTube.
I'm going to put it on YouTube and share that link so they can just fucking.
Yeah, if you know how to put the tags, that's the best way to do it, because then you get to hear about each team on the thing. So.
Fuck, you guys are asking a lot out of me.
Yeah, well, you're commissioning, so suck that shit up.
But yeah, after I drop the video, let us know if you want to see more type of videos like this. We'll do like a mid-season evaluation or something, and have different guests or whatnot. But
and it doesn't have to just be me. By the way, guys,
yeah, he's just the first one.
I didn't volunteer. Nathan asked me, but yeah, it doesn't always have to be me. You guys can also do it too. So
absolutely,
don't like my opinion. It's all good.
And if you feel more comfortable with somebody else leading it because you don't know me, by all means, we can let Austin lead one of these things or not as well. So, but hey, good luck this year. I'm excited football's back. I know we're all excited football's back. So see you around.
Woo.